You are in pain right now. Maybe not today, maybe not this week, but you have been, and when you were. Nobody gave you a map. They gave you patience. They gave you prayer. They gave you everything happens for a reason. And none of it reached the place where the pain actually lives. Al-Ghazali spent 12 years in silence after the greatest crisis of his life. He did not emerge with comfort. He emerged with a map, a precise architectural map of what pain actually is, what it does to the human soul, and the door it hides inside itself that almost nobody finds. Because almost nobody was told to look before the map, understand the man who drew it. In 1095 CE, Al-Ghazali was the most famous scholar in the Islamic world. He held the most prestigious teaching position in Baghdad. Students came from across the known world just to sit in his lectures. He had written more than anyone, debated more than anyone, been recognized more than anyone. And then he stopped, not gradually, all at once. He described it himself in the Deliverance from Error. His voice left him. He could not lecture, could not eat, could not function in any of the ways that had defined him. Doctors examined him and found nothing wrong, because nothing was wrong with his body. What was wrong was something no doctor then or now has instruments to measure, he said. The knowledge he had was all outward. He knew about God. He did not know God, and the distance between those two things collapsed on him all at once. He left Baghdad, 11 years of wandering, Syria, Jerusalem, Mecca, Medina, no students, no lectures, no reputation to maintain. And in that wandering, he found the map. Not in a library, not in a debate, in the pain itself. Here is what Al-Ghazali found. Pain, Allah, in the classical Islamic framework, is not one thing. It has a structure. He identified 3 distinct layers, and each layer has a different door inside it. Most people spend their entire lives in the first layer and never discover that 2 more exist beneath it. Layer 1, the layer of the body. This is the most obvious pain. Physical suffering, loss, grief, illness, the pain that has a location that you can point to. Al-Ghazali says this layer is real, and the Quran validates it completely. The Prophet wept, the Prophet bled, the Prophet buried his children. Islam does not ask you to pretend this layer does not exist, but Al-Ghazali says, most people make a catastrophic mistake at this layer. They try to exit it as fast as possible, medicate it, distract from it, rush through it. Because nobody told them that the door is not on the exit side of the pain. It is in the center of it. The door only appears when you stop running and turn around to face what you are actually feeling. He calls this wukuf, standing still inside the pain. Not resignation, not defeat. A deliberate choice to be present with what is present, because presence is the only way to find a door that running keeps you from seeing. Layer 2, the layer of the Nafs. This is the layer most people never name, because it requires a level of honesty most people never apply to themselves. Beneath the surface pain, the loss, the illness, the circumstance, there is almost always a second pain. The pain of what the first pain revealed about you. Al-Ghazali says, hardship is a mirror, and the image it shows you is not always the image you had of yourself. You thought you were patient. Then something was taken, and you discovered you were not. You thought you trusted God. Then the plan changed, and you discovered the trust had conditions you did not know were there. You thought you had released your attachment to something, then it disappeared, And the grief told you the truth about how attached you actually were. This second layer of pain, the pain of seeing yourself clearly, is what Al-Ghazali calls the real beginning of the spiritual path. Not because self-knowledge feels good, it does not, but because you cannot build something real on a foundation you have not honestly inspected. The door inside this second layer is Tawbah, not repentance in the shallow sense of feeling bad about what you did. Tawbah in the architectural sense, a complete turning, a reorientation of the entire self toward what the mirror just showed you needed to change. Al-Ghazali says, most people receive this mirror in a moment of hardship and immediately look away. They return to the same patterns, the same attachments, the same conditions on their trust in God, and so the same hardship returns, not as punishment, as the mirror being offered again. Layer 3. The layer of the Sirr. This is the layer Al-Ghazali calls the hidden gift, and it is the one almost nobody reaches, because reaching it requires passing through both previous layers without looking away. At this third layer, the pain has done something to the soul that nothing else in human experience can do. Al-Ghazali uses a precise image. He says, the heart in its ordinary state is like a polished mirror with dust on it. The dust is not the mirror. It sits on the surface, but it prevents the mirror from doing what a mirror does, reflecting clearly. The dust is attachment, pride, desire, the noise of the self performing itself for an audience. Hardship, when passed through correctly, is not something that damages the mirror. It is the cloth that removes the dust. The pain of the first layer strips the comfort. The pain of the second layer strips the illusion. And what is left at the third layer is a heart so clean, so emptied of everything it was carrying, that it can finally reflect what it was made to reflect. Ibn Ata'illah, Al-Ghazali's heir in this tradition, says it in one line in the Hikam. Were it not for the darknesses of affliction, the lights of Tajalli would not appear. Tajalli, divine self-disclosure, the moments where God becomes directly perceptible to the heart, not as information, not as theology, but as presence, as light. Ibn Ata'illah is saying, the darkness is not the opposite of the light. The darkness is the condition in which the light becomes visible, the way stars only appear when the sky is dark enough to show them. Now, here is the part nobody teaches. Al-Ghazali says the door at the third layer does not open from the outside. You cannot force it. You cannot schedule it. You cannot achieve it through technique. What you can do is remove every obstacle between you and it. The first layer asks you to stop running, wukuf. The second layer asks you to look clearly, tawbah. The third layer asks you for something harder than either, rida, contentment with what God decreed, not as performance, not as spiritual bypass, but as genuine recognition that the pain was not an accident, was not a mistake, was not God looking away for a moment, but was the precise instrument required to remove the precise layer of dust that was sitting on your mirror. Al-Ghazali says, the people who reach this third layer share one characteristic that sets them apart from everyone else. They stop asking, why did this happen to me? Not because they suppress the question, but because they received an answer that makes the question unnecessary. The answer is not a reason, it is a presence, the direct experience of God in the place the pain cleared. And that experience, Al-Ghazali says, is worth everything it cost. So, where are you in the map right now? Are you in layer 1, running from what is present, or standing still enough to let the door show itself? Are you in layer 2, looking away from the mirror, or honest enough to let it show you what needs to change? Or have you ever, even once, in the deepest moment of a hardship you thought would destroy you, felt something open inside the pain, something that felt less like suffering and more like arrival? That was the door. Al-Ghazali spent 12 years finding it. He wrote the Ihya Ulum al-Din, the greatest work of Islamic spirituality ever produced. On the other side of it, the pain was not the obstacle to what he became. It was the door. Comment below. Have you ever passed through a hardship and come out the other side as someone you could not have become any other way?